This is Chapter 7, Monitoring and Controlling Projects. Presentation 1 of 3. In this presentation, we're going to talk about monitoring the project integrity and monitoring the scope. Don't forget to download those presentation notes so you can fill in the blanks. It's been said that people don't do what you expect, they do what you inspect. And that's what monitoring and controlling is all about. It regularly measures the progress of the project. It also ensures that the project is meeting its objectives and addressing current business needs, so it stays on track. The project manager and other staff monitor progress against those plans and take corrective action when necessary. They've got to watch it like a hawk. Figure 7-1 shows the summary of monitoring and controlling outputs. And those outputs continue. Here's an example of what a project might look like if it didn't have people doing monitoring and controlling.
Okay, my mom just canceled my brother's World of Warcraft account, and he is freaking out. She never once! Oh my god. Baby boy! Never, bro!
Let's start with the big picture. Monitoring and controlling tasks for project integration management. So basically what this includes is collecting, measuring, and disseminating performance information, and assessing measurements and analyzing trends. That's a very important one, the analyzing trends. And don't forget, there's this thing called change control, where you identify, evaluate, and manage changes. Earlier we talked about scope, time, cost, risk, quality, and resources as all feeding into project constraints. In change control, all of these can be affected. So changes can control the scope, the time, the cost, the amount of risk, the quality of the overall project, and the resources that you have to actually expend on that project. Integrated change control involves identifying, evaluating, and managing changes throughout the project's life cycle. The objectives are as follows. Influence the factors that cause changes to ensure that changes are beneficial, determine that a change has occurred if it's occurred, and manage the actual changes as they occur. The project management plan provides the baseline for identifying and controlling project changes, because changes will occur. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when they happen and how you handle them. One of the most difficult things to manage is the scope, because once a project gets started, people think of all kinds of extra things that it can do. Monitoring and controlling tasks for project scope management. What you're going to do is verify the scope and control the scope. Those should be your objectives. So the key outputs will be deliverables that are accepted by the customer and work performance measurements. Scope creep is not a person. That's actually the tendency for a project to grow bigger and bigger and longer and longer. The minute people see a project and what it can accomplish and the good that it's doing, they can think of more things to do with it. Even for fairly simple projects, people have a tendency to want more. For an example, have you ever heard somebody say they wanted a simple wedding? Have you ever been to a simple wedding? There's a real good example of scope creep. Or a new house that gets constructed. In each case, you have to verify the scope. Does it fit with the original plan? Does it fit with the project at all? Don't forget you've got the customer who has to actually inspect what's going on and sign off on the key deliverables. Here's an example of a deliverable acceptance form. To control the scope, you have to first have a clearly defined scope, that's what your scope statement is for, and set a scope verification process in place so that you're actually seeing the scope fulfilled in the process of the project. You need a process for soliciting and monitoring changes to the scope. Stakeholders should be encouraged to suggest beneficial changes and discouraged from suggesting unnecessary changes.